First thing we're going to do is we're going to turn this into a multiplication problem. Take the top fraction, multiply it by the reciprocal of the bottom one. So let's start with this. Here is the top fraction. And what we're going to do is we're going to multiply this by the reciprocal of the bottom fraction. Now be careful when you put these signs in here. The signs do not change at all. We're just simply flipping the fraction over. So now we have the signs are correct. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to factor each of these, all four of these things. And when we factor something like that, it's going to look like this, where we've got the sets of parentheses. Here, we're looking for factors of the last number that add up to the middle number. We're doing that for all these. So for the first one, we have x and x, two numbers that multiply to make 20 and add to be 9. That's going to be 4 and 5. Okay, so 4 and 5 add up to 9. That would work. Now we have the same thing on the bottom. We also have a 20 that's here, but because the middle number is negative now, we're just going to change both of these to a minus. Negative 4 times negative 5 does multiply to make positive 20, but they add to be negative 9. All right, so next one, we've got the 20 again, but this time you want that to add up to negative 1. Well, that's going to be 4 and 5 again. But this time, since the middle thing is negative, we want to put a negative next to the larger number. So we're going to put an x plus 4 and an x minus 5. We know that one of these has to be negative because the last number here is negative. The same thing happens on the bottom as well. We're going to use 4 and 5 again, but this time I want to put the plus next to the larger number because 5 minus 4 will give you a positive 1 there for the middle term. So now we're done factoring, and the next thing to do would be just to see what we can cancel here. X plus 5, that cancels. X minus 5, that cancels. Then nothing else cancels here because we've just got the plus and a minus and plus and a minus here. Okay, so when we rewrite that, you're just going to have x plus 4, and we have x minus 4, x minus 4. So nothing cancels here, but what you could do is you could rewrite it as x plus 4 quantity squared and x minus 4 quantity squared, and you could just leave your answer like that. Again, nothing else would cancel. Now, if we go into the problem like this, okay, now these kind of problems involve different kind of factoring. Now, some of the factoring that you might have learned before is factoring where you do the first number times the last number, and we do all these by grouping method. That is one way that you could do it, but also you can do this by factoring with trial and error, and I'm going to show you that method here. But first, before we get into the factoring, we're going to turn this into a multiplication problem. So we're going to take everything on top. We're going to multiply it by the reciprocal of the bottom, 2x squared plus 7x plus 6. And then we have 16x squared plus 56x plus 45 here. All right, so now we want to factor everything top and bottom. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to factor these by using trial and error. Let's just look at the first fraction here. Now I want to get 4x squared, so I need to put a 2x here and a 2x here. 9, there's only just 3 and 3 or 1 and 9. Let's start off with the 3 to see if that would work. We want the middle term to add up to a 5, and so we need to play around with the signs. One's positive and one's going to be negative. 4x squared, we get a 6. and a 6. Now, 6 and 6, that's not going to add up to a 5, which means that that's not the right combination that I want to use. So then maybe I would try a 1 and 9 and see what works there. Well, that's going to be too big because we get 18 and 2, so that's not going to work. And even if we switch them, that's not going to work either. So if that doesn't work, the next thing that you want to try is instead of 2 and 2, we might want to try x and 4x. That will multiply also to be 4x squared. Let's use a 3 again to see if that works. Now we get 4x squared, we get a 3 and a 12. And that doesn't add up to a 9 either. And so 3 and 3 is not going to work. All right, so now we will try a 1 and a 9 here and a 1 there. 4x squared, we have a x and a 13. That doesn't add up to 5 either, so that doesn't work as well. So then we'll try a 1 here and a 9 over there, a 9 and a 4. There it is. We finally found out what it is. So again, trial and error sometimes takes a little bit longer to do than the grouping method, but that is a method that you can use. We want 5, so we're going to do a plus 9, and we want to do a minus 1 here. Okay, so when we multiply it, we will get the 5x. So finally, we got what we're looking for. We can do the same thing down below here. Now 2, there's only just 2x and x, so not a whole lot of combinations there. For 12, we have a couple different ones to try. Let's start off with the most common one, 3 and 4. When we do this, we get 2x squared, we get 8 and 3. Okay, if we make the 8 negative and this positive, we have negative 8 and positive 3 gives you negative 5, and that multiplies to give you negative 12. Then this one, we will also factor by the trial and error. 2x and x is there. 6 can only be 1 and 6 or 2 and 3. Let's try a 3 and a 2 here. This is going to be 2x squared. We have a 4 and we have a 3. That does add up to 7, so that would definitely work there. Usually you don't have the same number inside. That's why I chose to put the 3 here and the 2 there first, by the way. 2x and 2 means that there'd be an extra common factor to pull out of there, and it's usually not the case for this kind of problem, and so that's why I put the 3 there first, just to let you know. Then for the last one, we have a 16 and we have a 45 there. Okay, so 16 we can do, let's try 4x, and 4x is the one you might be thinking of first there. And then 45, we have a 5 and we have a 9. Let's multiply and see what we get here. We need to get 56 in the middle. 16x squared, we get a 36 plus 20. Yes, that is 56. And both of them would have to be positive. So that does work there in this case. Okay, so now we're going to cancel 4x plus 9 cancels. 2x plus 3 cancels. Nothing else cancels. So we're left with x minus 1 on top, x plus 2. And the bottom, we have x minus 4 and 4x plus 5. And so that would be the answer.